I'm gonna be lip swatching for you 19 shades of the Kiko Milano 3D Hydra lip gloss. I have a bunch of them from their regular line, but also from the editions that they have done this year and the year before that. I have so many beautiful lip glosses here in front of me. I'm going to show you them all. I'm going to be doing hand swatches and lip swatches, and I am so excited. So let's get into it. Alright, I zoomed you in a little bit. I have taken off my liquid lipstick, and we're going to start out with the first shade that I have, which is 03. 03 is a light peach with a subtle kind of champagne shimmer in it. A really beautiful color, a little bit more of a subtle gloss. Some of these glosses are gonna be pretty shimmery, some of them gonna have a little shimmer, some are just like more creamy. This one is a little bit in between. This one has such a nice slight sheer peachy tone to it. This is an amazing everyday gloss. It is just something that's gonna look good with a lot of different things because it is so sheer, because it's not extremely sparkly or shifty. So this is shade 03. The next shade that I have here is 05. This one I'm super excited about because this is a light kind of cool tone pink shimmery shade. I love light pink lips, and this is just right up my alley. Almost all of the ones that I have here from the regular line I haven't tried before. This one I haven't tried before, but this is just looking so beautiful, so sparkly. I just think this is gonna be so nice as a topper for things as well. Just look at that icy pink sparkle. So yeah, this definitely has quite a bit more sparkle to it. It definitely looks more sparkly, more shimmery on the lips. If you don't like shimmery lip glosses, this is not gonna be for you, but I think this is really cute. It doesn't look chunky, but it does have that dimension that a sparkly lip gloss has. Also, it doesn't really feel gritty. So this is gonna be shade 05. Then this one I'm super excited about. This is shade 11, and this is a kind of soft red shade with a orangey copper shimmer to it. It's very fun, it's very bright, something that I would love to wear in spring summer. This one has a little bit more color to it, and it also has that sparkle that is a little bit like orangey, which makes it look a little bit more warm on the lips. This becomes kind of like a corally red, which I just think is really beautiful. It does have that sparkle. A lot of these shades do have at least a little bit of sparkle to it, but I don't feel like it looks chunky or like too much. I think this is a really fun one to pair with a softer look with a mascara and a blush, and then add this as a puff color to lips. So this was shade 11. The next one that I have here is shade 17, and this one is kind of like a toned down red, like a mauvey red, very toned down, and then it has a lot of champagne sparkles through it. I think this one is gonna be pretty, like, not chunky, but visibly sparkly on the lips. Yeah, this one definitely has quite a frosty glow to it, but I really love the tone of it. Like, it's very wearable, but still kind of colorful and rosy. Yeah, this one I can see myself wearing a lot because it's kind of like that rosy look, which I do love. I also really love it with the look that I have on right now. It is sparkly, it is frosty, but it is a really beautiful shade and something that adds a lot of dimension to the lips. So this was shade 17. Next up, we have a little bit more of a subtle shade. This is gonna be shade 19. This one has a slight bit of a sparkle or shimmer in it when you look up close in the packaging, but this is really more of a cream gloss. You don't really see that a lot, and this is kind of like a peachy nude with a hint of like brownie mauve in it. Quite a sheer gloss and something that's gonna suit a lot of different looks. If you don't like shimmer, this can be for you. This is just a really beautiful nude shade, soft shade, still very glossy, but not as sparkly as some shades in the range. So this is gonna be shade 19. Next up, we have a shade that is pretty similar, but this one is a little bit more cool tone. This is shade 20. So could have been expected that they are a little bit like along the same lines. This one is also more of a cream shade. It also isn't like super visibly sparkly, even though in the packaging you can see a little bit of a shimmer. It's not really gonna translate on the lips. This one is my personal favorite of the two because it is slightly deeper and slightly more mauvey, slightly more cool tone. And I really like that this is a cream gloss that is not gonna be super opaque. It is quite sheer, and that is just a little bit more wearable to me personally when it comes to glosses, when it's a little bit on the sheer side. So yeah, once again, a really nice nude shade, really wearable, really easy to combine with all different things. This for me, I could just throw on basically with anything and everything. I really like this one. This is shade 20. Now we're getting into a really sparkly shade, or a few really sparkly shiny shades, which I'm really excited about. This is shade 26. This is a little bit of a deeper pink than the one that we saw more at the beginning, but it's also very sparkly. It almost has a duochrome in it, not really, but it has a pink base with kind of like a golden sparkle throughout it. This one is gonna be super dimensional, very sparkly, and just, I love pink shades like this. This one is a little bit warmer, a little bit deeper than that first one. It is so sparkly. Just look at that frosty shine. If you like a frosty lip gloss, Kiko Milano is the place to go. This one is so cool. Pretty out there. Like, it's gonna catch the eye. It's very sparkly. It's very shiny. It has that frost to it. It is super, super glossy and dimensional. I think this is a really beautiful shade. So this was shade 26. This next one I've really been looking forward to. I've been eyeing this gloss for years, literal years. This is shade 27 and this is a very cool toned lilac sparkly gloss. For such a long time I saw this time and time again in store, but I was just held back a little bit. I don't know why. Probably because I have a lot of lip products and I don't really need it. But now finally, I'm gonna try it out. I'm gonna see how I feel. This has a little bit of a... Wow, that is pigmented. That is a very lilac-y gloss. It has a champagne sparkle to it. It's very sparkly. This is so frosty and cool toned. I think this is the most frosty gloss we've seen in this video so far. This one also feels the most gritty. It doesn't feel incredibly gritty, but you do feel that there is like sparkle in this lip gloss. This is a lot. This is a lot. I feel like this one I would personally like the most topped a little bit over a certain lip look. Like, this is very, very out there, but I feel like this can definitely be made wearable. Maybe apply a little less, maybe apply it on top of something with a certain lip liner. I think this is gonna be a really fun one to play around with. So this was 27. Then this one is gonna be really interesting, I think. This one is shade 31 and it looks so pearly, like a nudish pearl, and I'm really curious how this is gonna look on the lips. It looks like the shimmer particles in this are a lot smaller than what we've seen so far, and it's a bit more densely packed. I think this could get really interesting. Oh yeah, that really is a wet look gloss, a very beautiful shade. This might become one of my favorites. It's a very interesting formula because it doesn't look like sparkly, it doesn't look chunky. It's really just this incredible wet look. Like, yes, there is a shimmer in it, but you almost can't see it because it's so fine. That is really beautiful. I don't think I've tried a gloss like this before. Like, I don't feel like I have a formula like this in my collection, and I do have a lot of lip products. Like, this is really cool. Very shiny. It is very sheer. It doesn't add a lot of color to the lips, but it just adds so much juiciness, volume, dimension. Is really beautiful. This one is 31. Then the last one from the ones from the regular line. This one is 32, and this one is a mauve shade that has more of a sparse sparkle to it, a little bit of a shimmer when you look at it in the packaging once again. This one is a little deeper, a little bit more like true mauve, but once again the shimmer of this formula, like, It has a super sparkly formula, and then there is more of a cream formula with a slight bit of shimmer in it. This shimmer you're not really gonna see on the lips. It just adds a little bit of dimension. This is such a beautiful color. That one's really, really nice. I love a mauve shade. I feel like it is closest to like my natural lip color. This is like my lip color, but a little bit deeper almost. Of course, a little bit more shiny. I think this is a really beautiful shade. Very wearable, very easy to throw on with a lot of different looks. Once again, really like it with this look. So this was 32. We are moving on to the additions to the line that they did later on. These are called limited edition, but some of the ones that they launched, I believe in 2022, don't quote me on it, I could be wrong, it could be 2023, are not in store anymore but are still online, so I still wanted to swatch them. And then we have the new ones from this year, which I already did a swatch video of, and I did that this year, but I did want to make this video like truly complete so you have all the information in one place. Okay, we're gonna start out with this very iridescent light nude shade, which is 41. This is such a cool shade, very sparkly, very like dimensional. There is so much going on in this, but at the same time it's very like wearable. It fits with a lot of different things because it's mostly that kind of multicolored sparkle that is in here. It's kind of like a light nude sparkle with a little bit of a like almost lilac-y and then a champagne. It is a very close to clear gloss, but then with a lot of shimmer in it, not as visibly sparkly as some. This one is a little bit more on the subtle side, but still very dimensional. It has more small shimmer particles. This one is really, really beautiful, really nice as a topper as well. I have worn these more often, the ones that I am showing you now. So this was shade 41. Then we have shade 43, and this one is also a lighter nude. This one is more in a kind of sheeny pearly category. This one also has a little bit of a pinky undertone, but this shimmer is smaller and more sparse. It looks a little bit more like that pearly shade that I just showed you. This one is relatively subtle. It almost has something a little bit milky to it. It has shimmers, but it has a little bit of a lighter sheen, which adds like a lot of dimension to the lips once again. This one is just a very nice topper as well, also very pearly and not chunky. A beautiful wet lip gloss. This was shade 43. We are getting into some really interesting shades. I believe this one went viral because it was a dupe for a Fenty gloss. This was shade 44, and this is a cool toned sparkly brown gloss, which is really, really interesting. It has some champagne shimmers and also some kind of like pinky shimmers in it. This one is really, really beautiful, a little bit more out there because it's such a cool tone brown. It's something definitely a little bit different, which I think is really fun. It is a very smooth gloss for a gloss that is so brown. Like sometimes darker glosses tend to look a little uneven, but this one also is relatively sheer. Like you can see, it's a deep brown, but it's relatively wearable. I really like this shade. I also think it's really fun with a bit of a nude lip liner or more of a cool tone brownish lip liner. You can really make this pop. This is a really beautiful color. I feel like it really stretches across skin tones because it's a little bit more on the sheer side. It is not super chunky. I feel like this is a relatively wearable in the formula. It has just a subtle shimmer to it that gives you the glow, but it doesn't look too crazy. I think this is a really, really beautiful shade. This one was 44. We are moving on to 44's little sister. This one is 45, and this one is a little lighter, a little bit warmer, a little bit more of a mid-tone nude warm brown shade, like a little less cool tone chocolatey, but it is quite pigmented, and this one has a little bit more of that almost frosty glow to it. This one is so nice. It has almost a little bit of a metallic-y look to it. I kind of forgot how good this one was. That is such a good color. I think this one is the perfect fall gloss. This one does really have some shimmer to it. It does have a little bit of a frosty look, a little bit of a metallic look. It is relatively pigmented, but I think this is such a beautiful color. If you like a little bit of a warm rosy brown, this is so beautiful. It also doesn't feel chunky or gritty at all. I think this is such a fun shade to have in the line. So this was 45. We're moving into the limited edition shades that they did for this year, for 2024. And these I thought were super exciting. They really branched out a bit once again. We're going from the nudes and the browns to like blue. Okay, this next one doesn't have blue. But this one is a very nice and shifty kind of iridescent. So this is an iridescent shimmery gloss that shifts from pink to kind of like peach. I think iridescent glosses can be so fun and they can look really different depending on the lip product that you put underneath it, which you combine it with. I think this is such a nice shifty gloss. You really see kind of like that pinky peachy sheen. This with kind of like a cool toned pink like lipstick underneath can give it such a fun kind of dimension. This one doesn't have the chunky sparkles, it just has a shimmer. It is more of a wet look gloss, very sheer but with an iridescent quality to it. So this one is 47. Then this one I really liked from this range. This is another one of those more pearl, densely packed, really small shimmer particle kind of glosses. This one is a pink to kind of like a blue duochrome gloss. I just really love these pearl glosses from Kiko Milano. They are just a very nice wet look formula. This one does have quite the blue sheen. So that is something you are gonna see. It is really like that brightening kind of gloss. Like you see more of the blue than the actual pink base. And this one also has something a little milky to it almost, because like what it shifts to is so light. I do think that this is a really fun color, and for it kind of shifting blue, I feel like it's pretty wearable. Depending on what you combine it with, you can make this look like just like a little bit of a fresh touch to a lip look. I think this is a really beautiful gloss. Maybe not for everyone, but I do really enjoy it. So this was 48. These ones from the 2024 limited edition do have more of a minty sensation to them than the other shades from the former limited edition and the regular line. Those don't have any like minty plumping feeling to them. These are a little minty and you can recognize them by the blue cap. So keep an eye on that if you don't like mintiness in your lip products. I don't really mind it, but it's also not necessary, but I won't avoid products because they have some mintiness in them. This next one is like a sunset in a bottle. This is kind of like a copper to a peach to a gold to a pink. It's a very iridescent shade, kind of like shimmery more than sparkly. This was one of my favorite shades from the limited edition that they did for this year. This one is shade 49 and it's so cool. This is such a nice type of gloss. It just has that kind of like warm sheen to it. It is sparkly, but it's not super chunky. It's more of a shimmery sparkle. And this one is just so dimensional and cool with those warm shades. It is just such a beautiful color. I love this type of gloss. It really shifts to that warm pink, but it also has a peachiness and a copper to it. It is more of a sheer gloss, but I feel like it works really well on its own or over top of things. So this one is 49. This next one is really in your face, sparkly and pigmented. This is shade 50 and this is a cool toned red, a little deeper, very pigmented, and it has kind of like a pink sparkle to it that really shows up on the lips. Like this is one of those more like truly sparkly glosses where it's really visibly sparkly. I do really love the look of this shade. Like this is such a cool shade. I would personally wear this with a lip liner because it's so pigmented and frosty. I personally love how cool toned this is, how sparkly this is. This is one that I don't throw in the bag or throw on my lips without thinking because it is very pigmented. It is gonna catch the eye. It is not as see-through. It's not as subtle. It is not a go-to gloss for me, but it is really beautiful. I do really love this type of shade, and it's just another pop of color type of shade where if you do a pretty simple look, like this can really add something to your makeup where you still feel and look very put together. I think this is a really beautiful shade. This was shade 50. And then lastly for this video, we have the actual blue gloss from this line. This is 51 and this is super like sky blue, sparkly. It shifts to more of a true blue. It is very cool and like just such a nice, fun, colorful shade. I think this is really, really beautiful. And this one is really nice and sparkly. I remember this being not too crazy. Like it shifts a little bit more almost purple on the lips when you apply it. But it's definitely a purple duochrome sheen, kind of frosty and cool toned. But it's nice and sheer, which makes it somewhat wearable. And once again with this one, it really depends what you combine it with, if it's really gonna look this obviously like bluey purple. Like you can use this as a topper on top of something that's a little bit closer to it, like a cool tone nude, and then it will already look different. This is such a nice shade. I feel like it is more wearable when you see it on the lips than it looks in the tube. It's just a really nice wet look. I really love the sheen that this has. Is this my go-to? No, but I do like that they have this in the line. I do love that they are expanding the line and creating a little bit more fun and out there shades. I love that that exists and that I can also experiment a little bit with different colors that I wouldn't have thought of. Okay, this is the last shade. This is 51. And those are going to be all the shades of 3D Hydra lip gloss from Kiko Milano that I have to swatch for you. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what your favorite shade was, and then I will see you in my next one. Bye bye!